The mask has been ripped off, and the truth is uglier than we imagine. ABC pulls the plug on Jimmy Kimmel while the same Democrats who celebrated conservative censorship for years suddenly discover the First Amendment. But here's what they don't want you to see. This isn't about comedy or late-night jokes. This is about who controls the narrative in America. FCC commissioners are admitting that they don't even have the power that Trump's enemies claim that he's wielding. Sinclair Broadcasting is stepping into the breach with a move that has the left screaming bloody murder. The hypocrisy is so thick you could cut it with a knife, so stay locked in because we have a message from our sponsor. Now, let me ask you something. If you built up $100,000 or more in investments, do you really want it all riding on the stock market? Think about it. Banks, billionaires, even entire countries loading up on physical gold and silver. Why? Because when markets swing, real assets hold their value. That's why I want to tell you about Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to own investment-grade gold and silver, the same kind big players are buying, and you can actually hold it in your hand or put it safely in your retirement account. You've worked hard to build your wealth. Isn't it time you protected it? Noble Gold is family-owned, trusted by thousands, and ranked #1 in gold IRAs 4 years in a row. Their precious metal specialists are standing by to answer your questions and walk you through every step. Simple, safe, easy. Visit nextnewsgold.com. That's nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down below because it's time to protect what you've built. That number on the screen, 877-646-5347. The guys over there standing by. Tell them I said hello, would you please? Now, here is the scene outside of the Jimmy Kimmel studios. Oh, yes, they have decided to take to the streets now. It's so funny to watch these guys out there screaming. You know, I'm glad they're exercising their First Amendment right to speech and assemble. And that's exactly what ABC did when they fired Jimmy Kimmel. You see, Jimmy Kimmel was lying on the public airwaves. Yeah, that's a big no-no, according to FCC regulations. And it was Sinclair. It was ABC who decided to pull the plug as they're screaming about Donald Trump as if he had any control over the situation. Memes are flooding. Gotta love the memes. Remember the Covington kids? Yeah, that's the left, right? There you have, that's the left. Yeah. The Covington kids. Censor them. Real Donald Trump, account suspended. Yes, censor him. Revoke the license of any doctor who opposes vaccination. Ah, yes. Oh, but Jimmy Kimmel? No! Jimmy Kimmel pulled off the air, right? The hypocrisy is perfectly articulated in a meme. Tara Bull, Elon Musk weighing in about 4 hours ago. He's got the thinking emoji. Quote tweeting Tara Bull. Remember when they called for the president of the United States to lose his free speech? Yeah, here's Kamala Harris on X. This was published on 9/30 of 2019. Kamala Harris, look, let's be honest, real Donald Trump's Twitter account should be suspended. Yeah. Okay, so they're your free speech advocates for you. And we also have this. Senator Tina Smith just revealed that Trump's FCC isn't just silencing Jimmy Kimmel. They're scaring local outlets, too.
Government's Kimmel losing his late night spot indefinitely now, based on what he said. And it seems like this FCC, Brendan Carr, chairman, sounds like he threatened ABC basically to make this happen, which is just unheard of, the federal government stepping in.
Yeah. Exactly, it's unheard of because it's never happened before, and that's not what happened, bro. Yeah, nice try. Nice try. And the fallout continues. We have this. Sinclair, the nation's largest ABC affiliate group, says Jimmy Kimmel won't get his suspension lifted until he apologizes to Charlie Kirk's family and cuts them a meaningful donation to TPUSA. This is the headline on People. This was published on September 18th, 2025. But then we have this update from Fox News just a couple hours ago. Is Jimmy Kimmel going to go ahead and apologize? Oh, well, according to Fox, late night fallout. Jimmy Kimmel reportedly refused to apologize for remarks that landed him in hot water. The suspended host had planned to further tear into Trump supporters, insisting they purposely twisted his words before being taken off the air by Disney executives. Bye-bye, bitch. Bye-bye. Jimmy Kimmel was planning on doubling down on attacking MAGA before he got suspended. ABC executives told him to go on air and apologize, but instead he wrote a very hot monologue taking aim at MAGA. Disney said, we can't have him go on. Jesse Waters breaking it down.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Mickey Mouse pulled the plug, and Jimmy Kimmel's not happy. ABC suspended his late night show indefinitely. He was spotted storming out of the studio last night and hopping into a getaway car. Even across the pond, Trump couldn't resist.
Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago.
So why'd Kimmel get benched? He falsely framed you for killing Charlie.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie.
Yeah, well, we're not going to go ahead and play any Jimmy Kimmel because he's been suspended from the Next News Network, too. What else we got for you here? Yes, the writers are currently marching in circles outside ABC studios in New York City as well, in solidarity with Jimmy Kimmel being suspended. We the people want Trump behind bars. Fight back. FreedomNews.tv brings us this. The screaming and the gnashing of teeth continues, but of course, as you recall, the Democrats, the party of speech codes and censorships, Tom Elliott of Grabian News, posting this beautiful montage. Shall we? Shall we?
This kind, you shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
If people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block. It's really hard to govern today.
This is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
The First Amendment is not absolute. It does not protect any single thing anyone says. And there are limits, and that's important. And what this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media.
When you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence. Very clearly incitement of violence. I believe that when it comes to broadcast television like Fox News, these are subject to federal law, federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't.
So my biggest concern is that your view has the First Amendment hamstringing the government in significant ways.
You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not.
Oh, man, they're eating their own faces over there. God, I love the internet. It lives forever. Thank you, Tom, sincerely, for presenting that little piece. Adam Carolla, reacting to the news that ABC has indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel. Let's hear what Adam has to say.
Like he was, I think a lot of people want me to comment on it. It's a weird thing. The right and the left are always sort of misinterpreting things. He was inaccurate about something. It wasn't
like he was necessarily attacking Charlie Kirk. He was trying to dump it on Trump and inaccurate about it. We're living at a time where something happens. Nancy Pelosi's husband gets hit with a hammer. This side says he's had a MAGA hat on. That's
okay, Adam. He wasn't inaccurate. Okay, you're being nice. He was straight up lying to the American people. Do we have to go over this again? He was lying to the American people, trying to say that it was a MAGA guy who pulled the trigger. All right, Adam, I love you, but I gotta step in here. Sorry. Okay, so you're gonna bring up the Hammer Time party?
Side says he's some kind of nudist hippie. I don't feel like it's necessary, but that's all we do. And I don't like the government getting involved. And I've heard every side of the story. And in general, I just want people to speak, and then the ratings will do the talking, and you can support them or not support them. And what you want to watch, you can watch it, or you can watch Gutfeld and listen to him bash Kimmel, or however you want to do it. That's the world I'd like to live in. My perspective is different just because I know Jimmy, and I know Jimmy to be a very good guy and a generous guy, and I've always said that about him. And I realized that while everyone else knows Jimmy as a caricature, I know him as a person. When I run into the people that don't know Jimmy as a person, O'Reilly or Dave Rubin, Dennis Prager, and they go, "What's up with your buddy Jimmy?" Well, I know him, so that's why I don't think of him like you think of him. But on the other hand, they think of you as a cartoon character too, and I know you. Dennis Prager's a very sweet man, lovely man, but these guys on the other side think of you as a cartoon. And then at a certain point, there's the assassin who thinks of Charlie Kirk as a cartoon character, not a dude. I know him as a guy, sweet guy, fair guy, family guy, good American. But that guy looks at him as a cartoon character, and that's why he gets to kill him. I know Jimmy as a human. And I know how good he is, and I know how decent he is. And we disagree politically, but who cares? Right. We disagree on pizza toppings as well, but it doesn't mean we don't talk. I think a lot of people want...
Yeah, but, when Jimmy goes on the air and spews lies and only reinforces the negative narratives, I mean, there are consequences. Here's Tim Walls. This is North Korea style stuff. That's what he's saying. The same guy, right? The same guy who says free speech, should be limited.
Korea style stuff. Oh, hi, Chris. Good to see you. Oh, this is it. If you ever wondered how democracy dies, you're witnessing it. And I know it's people are watching a football game tonight, and we're kind of sleepwalk through this thing. But
don't remind them. We got him here.
One of the most outrageous affronts. Yeah, well, right. It's one of the most outrageous affronts on this. This is North Korea style stuff. And it's being done because this is a weak, thin-skinned man who's failing as a president. All of the things he promised are not happening. And this is exactly what dictators do. It's our most cherished freedom to point out very clearly this is a terrible president and a terrible human being who is doing nothing to improve the lives of Minnesotans.
Wow. Yeah, Tim Walz still living in his bubble, spewing his lies. Uh-oh, we have this. Aaron Burnett over at CNN. No, we cannot pull local broadcasters' license simply because they are content that he doesn't like. FCC Commissioner Anna Gomez tells Aaron Burnett the FCC does not have the authority to revoke broadcasters' license despite threats from the president.
Mostly negative coverage of him. Mm-hmm. So if he comes out and says 5 untrue things and they call out 3 of them, then that's on them. I mean, it's unclear exactly what he's saying, but he did say it will be up to Brendan Carr, obviously chairman of the FCC. Is this something the FCC could actually do?
Well, first of all, we don't license the networks. We license local broadcasters. So there is no license to pull for the networks. The local broadcasters get some programming from the networks. But second of all, we are governed by the First Amendment and by the Communications Act, which prohibits us from censoring broadcasters. So no, we cannot pull local broadcasters' licenses simply because they air content that he does not like.
Okay, so then I guess the question is, where do we go?
Okay, so yeah, where do we go from here? Well, it's up to the corporations to make their determination, and those stations all said, nay, nay. Ha ha! No, no. We're not going to play Jimmy Kimmel. Caitlin Collins, same network. President Trump says broadcasters should lose their license if they have late-night hosts who criticize him extensively. Well, I think the president's entitled to his opinion, right?
Jimmy Kimmel's rating conference today. There was a highly anticipated moment where we wanted to see what exactly the president was going to say about Kimmel being ousted from the airwaves because of comments that he made about President Trump and Charlie Kirk. And so in that press conference, though, Phil, he was only talking about Jimmy Kimmel's ratings. He made no mention of his FCC chair, Brendan Carr, who had put an intense amount of pressure on ABC and on Disney to rethink its programming changes, essentially in the hours before Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air. But you heard those comments there on Air Force One as the president is making his way back to Washington. And he also said at one point, Phil, that he basically believes broadcasters and that regulators should consider taking broadcasters' licenses away if they have late night hosts on their programs who criticize him. Listen to what he told reporters just a few moments ago.
When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that.
So we're going to wait and see how this all pans out. This story ain't over yet. Richard Blumenthal, I call for Brendan Carr's resignation. Brendan Carr didn't do it, bro. He says censoring Jimmy Kimmel goes to the core of suppressing free speech in this country. Trump, through his lapdog chair of the FCC, is creating the fear and intimidation that serves as an instrument of authoritarian power.
None has stayed. You may think of Jimmy Kimmel as comedy or entertainment, but censoring him goes to the core of suppressing free expression in this country. Other presidents have wanted to silence critics by threatening to revoke licenses or stop mergers. None has dared until now. What Donald Trump is doing through his lapdog chairman of the FCC is essentially to pressure these big corporations to silence any kind of criticism, any kind of satire, any kind of challenge. That is un-American and anti-democratic. And that's why we need to call out the chairman of the FCC. I think he needs to resign, Brendan Carr, and...
Okay, enough of you. We know about your lies too, right? Stolen valor and all that. Here's Megyn Kelly revealing how Jimmy Kimmel's ratings, how low they were.
Video cost? Nothing. You know how much it costs to produce Jimmy Kimmel's show? I guarantee you it's tens and tens of millions. It could be as much as 100 million. I have no idea. You know how much Tucker's video cost? Nothing. You know how much Jimmy Kimmel, how many people he gets tuning in on an average night? Just last week, his average was, in the overall, meaning all viewers, 1.5 million. In the key demo, 236,000. Tucker would have been embarrassed to pull that on any night he was on the Fox News channel. That's what they're getting now. Tucker's numbers were 3 times what Jimmy Kimmel gets. And Tucker's little basement video that he did from clearly like his cabin that he broadcasts out of Maine in literally has 21 million views. Okay? 21 million views. Whereas, as I point out, on ABC, a massive network that comes into your home for free that you have to make no effort to find, at best, Jimmy Kimmel can get 1.5 million. He needs to have a little self-perspective before going out there and hurling these insults because he looks a little silly.
Nobody's watching Jimmy Kimmel. And that's why they're like, bye-bye. Oh, Pete Buttigieg. What's happening with Jimmy Kimmel is about politics and power. Any corporation thinks they can win by playing Trump's game will wind up regretting it sooner or later because he will never have enough. Yes, because Trump's his hunger for destruction knows no bounds. Here's Pete Buttigieg.
Along with it, hey, it's Pete. It's really important to understand that the Jimmy Kimmel news is about politics. This is about the President of the United States, who doesn't like that a comedian had the freedom to make fun of him. pressuring a corporation that had business before the government to make sure that he was taken off the air.
Conspiracy theory.
There's something I want to say to any of the business leaders who are being dragged across one red line after the other, who are going along with it because they think it's going to help them or because they think it will get the Trump administration off their back. You need to understand that this is a one-way trip, that sooner or later, if you play this game, you will have even less room for maneuver in the future. They didn't stop at the law firms. They didn't stop at the universities. They didn't even stop with the comedians. They are not going to stop until they have total power. And if you try to ride this tiger as a business or organizational leader, sooner or later, it will eat you. Hey, it's Pete. It's really important to understand that the Jimmy Kimmel news.
He knows about riding tigers, doesn't he? So, at the end of the day here, ABC had to make a decision. Public outcry. People celebrating Charlie Kirk's death all over the internet. Jimmy Kimmel spreading lies. Again, I'll say this, free speech for everybody. And consequences do follow that. And Jimmy Kimmel is learning that the hard way. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is the moment that changes everything. When ABC caves to public pressure and suspends Kimmel, when Sinclair fills his slot with Charlie Kirk tributes, when Democrats who spent years cheering big tech censorship suddenly care about free speech, who are watching the collapse of their moral authority in real time. You see, they built this censorship machine to silence us. And now, what happened? They're getting caught in their own gears. Tom Elliott nailed it. Democrats created speech codes and cancel culture. They are the authors of it. And now they're screaming bloody murder when their own weapons get turned around. So here's my question for you. Should conservative networks start canceling liberal hosts the same way they canceled us? Drop a yes or a no in the comment section. Let's have a conversation. It's not about one late-night comedian. This is about whether they let the left keep their monopoly on cultural punishment or whether we finally fight back with their own tactics. And while you're fired up, check out our merch shop. It's linked down below. Wear your defiance proudly. The rules just changed, America.